Alright, Divine Motorworks back. This is part 2 on the Vintage Air AC system install on a 65 Mustang. So I've got the evaporator box here, blower motor, flexible duct work, some more hard lines, more hardware, hose clamps and fittings, wiring kit, different brackets. This one goes on the firewall there, mounting brackets for the evaporator, control panel conversion kit. This is pretty cool. I'm going to get into that in a minute. And then we've got our glove box liner. So you take the old one out. This one is a little more shallow, which allows this big bulky unit to fit in where the OEM heater box would. Now, what I was saying about this control panel kit and why it's pretty cool, you use your factory switch panel and hook it to these servos, and it actually makes it electronic controlled, but you retain that factory look on your panel. I'll show you in the car real quick what I'm talking about. Now keep in mind, this is all done electronically, but you're going to be able to retain these switches here. They hook to little servos, and then all that information gets fed over to the ECU that controls that air conditioning and heating box. Pretty cool feature. So we're going to be getting rid of this Kenwood radio. We've got an aftermarket radio to go in here. This one doesn't work, but it's a new type where, you know, it's Bluetooth enabled. You can actually hook your phone into it and everything, because this one is not going to fit with the new AC box. Then we'll have a vent here, one over here above that speaker, and then one over here above the driver's knee. So if you watched the last video, I was showing you how I did the power steering and compressor bracket. I was talking about measuring out a belt for it. So as you can see, I got the belt figured out. I just use a cloth tape and kind of wedge it into the pulley grooves, pull it tight, and have it overlap at a spot that you can easily read it. So my guess was between 54.5 to 55 inches. I do that with these almost bottomed out, so like the shortest length possible, so you have a little bit of wiggle room. 54.5 was too short, 55 worked perfect. You can see nice good belt tension. Got the hood release stuff all back in there, binary switch. Next up is running a couple lines. I got to punch through the rad support with the hole saw. Now, if we look at this, you can see it's a nearly perfect belt alignment. When I say nearly perfect, you can see it's kind of clocked maybe 1 degree. I've already came up with an idea on how to fix that. Again, it's not a huge deal. This would probably work just fine because the slant is honestly before the belt even makes contact. But that being said, this is still going to be slightly off. V-belts are pretty forgiving, but I'm not going to gamble on it. So what I'm going to do is take that lower bolt back out. I'm going to add a washer as a spacer in between on this side and keep this side bracket to pump. And what that should do is kick that 1 degree out and get us perfectly centered. So I'm gonna give that a shot and see what happens. Keep unboxing this stuff, and I'll catch you up as I go along. Alright, so I put that washer behind there like I said I was gonna do. I actually tilted the power steering pump up more towards 12 o'clock rather than back further, and I pulled the compressor closer to the pump on the adjusters, and that's nearly perfect. So in the first video I talked about adding extra brackets to where I was welding the two brackets together. I didn't go that route because when I was looking at this, I came up with a different idea for how to support it so that we don't really get pull back and forth. We kind of lock this pump and sandwich it in between. So if you look down in here, let's see, you can kind of see where there's a bolt hole. Okay, and that kind of falls perfectly in line with this one right down in there. So if I get a piece of flat metal stock, I can just tie them to each other and then put that bolt back through that and bolt it to here, and that'll help cut down on any play this way. I mean, you can see there's really not much at all. But again, there's a reason why most of your pulleys and accessories are supported on both sides, to cut back on that flex. So I'm going to see what I can figure out for a strap like that and continue working along. Alright, well, I figured out my front support bracket. Took a little bit of digging around the shop. You can kind of see it down here. This is off of a 440 Mopar motor. And then I've got a spacer here that is off a 66 Ford Fairlane 289 alternator. So, let's see what I did here. It's bolted to the front. Power steering pump. Got this spacer here. It might look a little bit goofy, but let me tell you, it actually serves a purpose with that bend. Because if you remember, I was talking about how the pump was actually like 1 degree off. Look at that now. Spot on. Now you really got to work this spacer in here. I'm going to clean that up, you know, paint this bracket. But when you really work that spacer in there and get it sandwiched in between, look at that pulley alignment. You are not moving this pump. Then I can go like that, set my tension. I think I figured it out.